Hi everyone, Dragula Slamtano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of this new mixtape from Sematary, Butcher House. Yep, this is a new mixtape from everybody's favorite spooky guy and the co-founder of the Haunted Mound label, Sematary. It's been a while since we've checked in with this dude. I think the last time I gave one of his records a formal review was with the third installment of his Rainbow Bridge mixtape series, which was one of my favorite projects of 2021, mostly due to its very saturated and murderous sound. Love him or hate him, Sematary is sitting at a very interesting and unique crossroad within the world of music. One that combines bone-chilling horrorcore with the explosivity of Chicago trap and also the excess of extreme metal, and presents these things with the highest levels of compression, saturation, and distortion. The tape attracted a lot of attention, and rightfully so. It was such an oddity, how could you look away? And ever since the new influx of fans this project brought came through, the Haunted Mound has been making moves. Sematary quickly dropped the Screaming Forest mixtape just months later, a shorter project that showcased his eerie and syrupy sound in a clearer context, which is fine in concept, but it just didn't feel as heavy. We also had a run of projects from various Haunted Mound members, Turnabout, Hackle, Buckshot, all of which were okay, nothing super stand out to my ears in comparison to what I've already heard from Sematary, but it seems like Haunted Mound as a collective is more focused on reinforcing this singular sound as a community than finding ways to stand out from each other in a super bold or clear way, which I think is a valid approach. It certainly has made their fan base passionate about what they do, and it does give the sense that Sematary is contributing to something larger than himself on his latest project here. Not only because there are numerous features here from prominent Haunted Mound members, who I just mentioned, but the purpose behind Sematary stripping things back in the way he did on Screaming Forest is beginning to reveal itself. Because truth be told, this record isn't nearly as big or as long or as loud as Rainbow Bridge 3, but something catchier and to the point could suffice for sure, as long as it scratches some of those same itches Sematary tends to hit so well. Now, comparatively, a song on this thing such as Suffer, which I love, may not sound as much like a white-hot, dense wall of noise in the same way that Creeping Through the Woods does, but it's still a very massive sound. The bright horror film organs looping throughout this track are positively sinister. The snares and hi-hats are crisp as hell and cut through the mix pretty easily. The 808s are bone-crushing, and Sematary's vocals are still soaked in those devilish chorus and warbly effects that give his drawls a demonic edge. A lot of the chilling loops and earworm refrains that some fans may remember from Rainbow Bridge 3 are still on this project, but I guess maybe they have less noise to fight through this time around. So, in a weird way, this makes Butcher House one of Sematary's most accessible projects to date. Even if in the grander scheme of things, I still see his and Haunted Mound sound as pretty niche. If you're at all curious about anything I'm describing here, I would recommend just playing track 1. From there, you will pretty much know what you're getting into. You have this call of Hauntaholics, which is pretty much recreating the vibe and the sensation of listening to an old, dirty, DatPiff Trapaholics mixtape from years ago. Once the tone is kind of set and you have some tension building, Sematary drops these a cappella flows that have very much a Waka Flocka Flame quality to them. We get a beat drop that is extremely thick and distorted and saturated. Lots of eerie synth phrases laced within it too. And the content of the bars, of course, is hauntings, AKs, sharp objects. Yeah, it's pretty nasty, but simultaneously so outlandish it's obviously not taking itself too seriously. And that's kind of this track in a nutshell. From here you get really cohesive, consistent sounds and vibes from the deeper cuts, all of which have their varying levels of stickiness and fright, as well as experimentation, because it seems like Sematary is trying some new stuff on this project too. You have the banger Baba Yaga, where Sematary is likening himself to this supernatural being from Slavic folklore, and the track is just way catchier than it should be, especially given just how odd the subject matter is. The track In a Field Where I Found You is a little on the short side, but the soaring auto-tune vocal leads on the hook are actually kind of anthemic and sweet, way sweeter than anything you would typically expect to hear in a Sematary track. Little bitch, I'm a fucking mound boy. Hallowed Be My Wrist is like a little posse cut featuring Sematary, Sick Boy, Rari, Turnabout, and Hackle. It's got some girth to it, but I wouldn't say there's anything here vocally or lyrically that's really standing out past the noise, past the distortion. A lot of the vocals tend to blend together, frankly. Conversely, Hate and Gasoline is an interesting change of pace as it features some pretty prominent rock guitars with a slight pop punk flavor, I would say. Sematary's vocals even take on a bit of a snotty punk tone too. His delivery kind of feels like what MGK must think he sounds like when he's singing over, similarly styled guitars. Really badass. But it's just a shame that, the singing on this cut is so god-awful. I don't even think Sematary is trying to be in tune with the instrumental in the back. It's, absolutely hideous. I mean, it's loud. The song does hit pretty hard, but musically speaking, I think it could use some retooling. And truth be told, there is a bit of a lull around the midpoint of the track list on this thing, too. More intense and twisted production makes a return, though, on the track We Don't Dial 911. The chorus layers on Sematary's voice are actually kind of insane here. Much more dissonant than some of the other cuts. And given the chaotic production, wailing tones in the background, as well as disturbing lyrics, I can't say it doesn't work. ANGELMAKERS also somehow lands on something catchy despite being a little unorthodox. The 808 patterns on this track are insane. Throughout this track, we get more standard Sematary flows, but also some more Waka Flocka callbacks as well. There are points during these ad-lib passages where you can literally hear him screaming in the background, bow, 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 bow. Not to mention the deeper we get into this tape, seemingly the more hideous and distorted and grating it is, which I think is definitely an approach. Continuing through the track list, of course, who can say no to a song titled Burn a Cop Car? Especially when the content of the track is as nasty as the title. I don't think I can read through any of the lyrics on this track or this video will get demonetized. But just know it's pretty unforgiving and vicious. The closing moments on the record see Sematary bringing guitar back into the mix, and once again, I think there we get mixed results, especially with the closer Little Lamb, which is like an attempt to take that Haunted Mound sound and twist it into more of an emo trap vibe, and I can't say it's working, at least not for me. The whiny vocals, the sad acoustics, they're all here, and maybe are something worth revisiting on a future project, but I just don't think it came together on this one. But that's a rundown of the project, and overall, I liked it. I think it's decent. Maybe not as hard-hitting or as thorough or as deeply satisfying as Rainbow Bridge 3, but there are some bangers here. There was some admirable experimentation and risk-taking, even if every instance of trying something different or clearing up the Haunted Mound sound a little bit didn't exactly pan out. Certainly the creativity is still there. It just kind of feels like Sematary and Haunted Mound are in a transition point, trying some different things and just kind of seeing where stuff lands as they drop more projects and drop songs that might be more likely to appeal outside of their hardcore fan base. I'm feeling a strong 6 to a light 7 on this one. Transition. Have you given this mixtape a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Haunted Mound, forever.